Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Mobile 97.
Go for 97.
It is a great honor for us to fight with you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much. Likewise, gentlemen. Please be safe out there. Strike hard. See ya.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That is the interaction between two fighter jets, one Israeli and one American, as they were going on their mission on the first day of the war with Iran. And, you know, just the professionalism. People, don't forget, don't be a John Kerry that thinks the military is just something you have to do if you can't do anything else. Be an American patriot that listens to what we just heard and saw how great these guys are. And you know what? The fact they got a lobster and steak dinner going into their battle time, I am good with that. I am good with that. Anyway, we're having a great day today. We got a lot to talk about. I know it's rainy out there and it's going to get cold again, but folks, it's March in Georgia. Okay, we're going to have hot weather one day and cold weather the next day, and we might even have snow and ice before the end of the month again. So just be prepared. Joining me right now is Daniel Turner. We've talked to him before. He is the founder and executive director of Power the Future, and we want to talk a little bit about what people are concerned about. I mean, in your daily life, of course, you care about America, you support America, but in your daily life, you're paying about 50 cents more a gallon than what you were last week, and you're concerned about that. So, Daniel Turner, welcome back to the program.
Martha, it's always great to be on your program. Thanks for having me back.
So, it's true, right? I mean, you can be a patriotic American, you can support what we're doing in Iran, but you still hate the fact that you're paying 50 cents more a gallon than you were last week. So give us just an overview of where we are right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't want to see higher oil and gas prices. I don't want to pay more at the pump. I know none of your listeners do as well. But in context, and I think it's important to remember that, in context, we're paying exactly what we paid for the 4 years of the Biden administration. I mean, that's how quickly President Trump lowered gas prices when he was sworn in 2025. And what we've had for the last 13 months, and we got used to it. Even the Democrats got used to it. Now all the Democrats are screaming that they want to pay low gas prices, but they did nothing for the 4 years that Biden's policies brought us to this level. So I don't like to say that prices are spiking or they're going through the roof. I prefer to say they're back to the Biden levels. And if you were okay with it for 4 years of Biden because of his green policy, then you have to be okay with it with Trump levels because of his policy to end the world of Islamic terrorism. So maybe a little bit of context helps make it not feel so bad.
So, Daniel, the president did say yesterday that he would be using some of the strategic oil reserve to try to help prices. And I didn't know, and maybe you don't know either, and that's perfectly okay. What's the role of Congress in refilling the strategic oil reserve? Because it seems to me, if you drew it down like President Biden did during an election cycle, that he ought to be able to add back to it without the approval of Congress. But it seems like there's a piece in there that has to do with Congress.
There is, and I think in the regular appropriation of the Department of Energy, there is always money for the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. What President Trump asked for in early last year was an additional amount because we had to replace some 300 million barrels of oil, and that's obviously quite a lot of money. That's how much Biden drained from the Strategic Reserves. So even if you had filled it up at 100,000 barrels a day, which is a lot of oil, right, and taken that out of the supply, we would have felt the price increase. But even at 100,000 barrels a day, we're talking about 5 years to fill up the strategic reserves. That's how much damage Biden did. So the role of Congress is to appropriate that larger amount that President Trump wants that can buy huge quantities of oil, but also at the same point not driving up the price on Americans by cutting out supply.
Yeah.
We're in a pickle. You know, Biden left us in a pickle on a lot of different areas. With Strategic Petroleum Reserve, no doubt. He left us in a pickle with what happened in Iran. Your listeners, your wonderful listeners, need to remember at the end of the first Trump term, Iran was only producing around 300,000 barrels a day because of all the sanctions Trump put on them. By the end of the Biden administration, they were producing 3.2 million barrels a day because Biden and his national security team lifted all of the sanctions. That delta of 2.9 million barrels at $85 a barrel is what funded the October 7th massacre. It's what funded Hamas, what funded Hezbollah, what funded the Houthis in Yemen. It's what funded the IED that a bunch of little punk immigrants threw in New York City a couple of days ago. All of the Islamic terrorism we see is all funded by Iran, and that came from Joe Biden lifting sanctions and making evil countries rich and powerful.
Yeah, it is crazy to me, and that's one of the things, all you folks out there that listen to me that are running for office and want to go to Congress, there ought to be something in the statute where if we draw down the strategic reserve for some reason, you ought to be able to fill it up. And it's something that, I mean, you ought to be able to fill it up without a lot of extra work involved. I really miss Doge. You know, I know they're sort of still around,
Yes,
Daniel, but I think they were doing some great work. And if you really look at the actual spending year over year, you are seeing the benefits of what we were doing in streamlining a lot of processes because the deficits are not as high as they were last year or the year before. And, you know, I want to finish with deficits. I don't want those anymore. I mean, I think we're taxing people enough. But Doge did a good job. They just, you know, they got caught up in this craziness.
100%. And you look at some of the investigations that private citizens have launched. Nick Shirley is the best example of the billions of dollars of fraud by the Somali community in Minnesota. These are private journalists who have uncovered all of this. And it shows that Doge really just was scratching the surface. When you have a government that has $6.9 trillion in annual spending that admits that a huge percentage of it is stolen and is waste and is fraud, we need a lot more oversight. We need a lot more inspectors general. We need a lot more muscle to rid this level of corruption from our budgets, because we're all paying for it. And yet every year, I live in the beautiful Commonwealth of Virginia. We just elected a bunch of insane people. And of course, across the board, it's tax hikes, tax hikes. There's never enough that they think they can tax the private citizens because the spending is endless. And so, yeah, we need Doge back and that level of fiscal sanity returned to the federal government.
We're talking to Daniel Turner from Power the Future. And, you know, honestly, you would think that discovering fraud, you know, whether it's daycare centers or hospice centers like they just uncovered in California or whatever, you would think that the people in elective office would, you know, it'd be very easy to just say, wow, I didn't know about this. We got to stop this. But instead, in the states like Virginia and Minnesota and California, they're defending it when they find this fraud. And I just don't understand that.
And it doesn't go both ways, because in addition to running Power of the Future, I have a sheep farm here in Shenandoah. If I was committing some sort of fraud, the IRS would come after me. I couldn't say, oh, well, you know, my grandparents were immigrants and I don't know I couldn't get away with it. No one would come to my defense if I was committing some sort of fraud. I'd pay the fines. I'd probably get arrested and go to jail. But yet when our government does it, we all just seem to brush it under the table. And that sort of distance between us and them. Heck, if you and I used insider trading tips to trade stocks, the SEC would come after us and we'd go to jail. But if you're, you know, Nancy Pelosi, or if you're Dan Crenshaw and you use insider trading tips to trade stocks, yeah, you get to keep the profits. So that separation of us and them, the American people are getting sick and darn tired of it, aren't they?
They are. They really are. So if you could, I mean, so the president said yesterday that basically there's some loose ends to tie up. I don't expect him to put boots on the ground. I think that, you know, Iran has made a very, along with a lot of the big mistakes they made a very big mistake out of attacking their neighbors. You know, you know, they've attacked Israel for years, obviously, but really going after their neighbors. What they've done is solidified the Abraham Accords. I think you're going to see a lot of growth in the Abraham Accords. But as we look at this, you know, are we doing the things we need to do in America to get production up? Are you comfortable that as we get through this blip that we're going through, I don't know if it's going to be a month or if it's going to be 6 months, but I don't think it's going to be more than that. Are we doing enough?
Yes, ma'am. And just compare what's happening now to what happened when we first saw Russia invade Ukraine and oil hit $135 a barrel. And it stayed there for weeks on end. We remember in 2022 paying $5.50 a gallon for gas, and then it slowly came down. But oil averaged during those Biden years $95 a barrel. We've had not even 2 weeks of expensive oil after 13 months of $60 a barrel oil. And the difference there is that resilience of American domestic production. The markets, they're jittered right now, no doubt about it. I saw some tankers were attacked yesterday or last night in the Straits. That sent prices up a little higher. Oil markets are jittery, no doubt, but there is great confidence in American domestic production. We're producing more than we've ever produced before, and there's no war on American oil and gas, and that is a huge calming fact. That is a buffer in the markets. I think things will calm down very quickly and prices will drop precipitously, but I do agree with you. I think the American people they're going to realize that in the long run, this is good for peace, for prosperity. It's even good for oil prices. A little bit of short-term pain is worth it.
I tell you what, I know you probably saw this interview of Pierre Poilievre, the conservative leader in Canada, on a podcast called Trigonometry, but he did an extensive discussion on the energy business that they have in Canada and where he wants to take it if he gets in power at some point in time. And I tell you what, I think, keeping our focus on this hemisphere, developing as much as we can, whether it's Brazil or Canada or the United States, it's the way to go. We need to protect our own hemisphere first, then we can worry about the rest of the world.
I agree with you, and I think President Trump is trying to set that tone, and I think he realizes that using oil as a hedge, using it as leverage to keep bad guys from getting rich and powerful. We've already solved the Maduro problem. What's happening in the Middle East is very essential. I think Russia is going to be the next one to fall. Right? We need to stop letting evil dictators use oil to become rich and powerful, because when they do, all they do is terrorism, war, violence against the rest of humanity. So let's use oil for good, because America is the ultimate force for good.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Daniel Turner. It was great to have you with me.
Thank you, Martha. God bless.
Thank you. We'll take a break, and then we'll be back.
When you need news anytime, day or night, get it from the source that's been delivering local news digitally for a quarter of a century. Go with AccessWDUN.com and the Access WDUN app, powered by North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
I'm Frank Norton with the Norton Agency. Buying a home just got 10 times more complicated. You need a professional broker by your side to help you through the process. New buyer, seller regulations, lengthy contracts, the crazy mortgage process, inspections, appraisal, and then closing. You need Norton now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
Hi, I'm John Shackelford, Executive Director of Eagle Ranch. For families in the middle of a struggle, knowing what is needed and where to go for help can be hard. To support these families, we created First Step Counseling. This new program allows families looking for help to meet with an Eagle Ranch counselor to share their story and make a plan for healing and renewal before starting therapy. Counselors are standing by and ready to meet with you and your family in person within a few days, so no long wait list. And like all Eagle Ranch services, no one is turned away because of financial constraints. Schedule a call with our First Step team today by going to eagleranch.org.
You already know Gainesville Mechanical for their award-winning HVAC service, but did you know they handle plumbing too? Because plumbing problems never happen at a good time, you need a trusted, experienced team there when they do. From small leaks to major repairs, Gainesville Mechanical is here for you with 24/7 no overtime rates through their Customer Assurance Maintenance Plan. Proud to be named Best of Hall for HVAC and plumbing, Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep North Georgia cool since 1989.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, a new superintendent has been chosen to lead the Gwinnett County Public School System. Details at Access WDUN. And coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I love transit because our cities don't work without transit, right? New York, Chicago, Atlanta, DC, like name your city. If you don't have a well-functioning transit system, your city doesn't work. Like everyone can't drive in. I don't want to force people to, take a train or a bus, but they should have that option. And I think autonomous vehicles are going to change, the old bus network. I think it's going to be cheaper to allow one of our robo-taxis, one of our autonomous taxis, to pick you up at your residence or whatever your pickup point is and bring you directly to your drop-off point. And we're going to be able to do that cheaper as a system than buying, massive buses.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. I'm not 100% sure about these autonomous vehicles. I understand there are cities in America where about half the taxis are autonomous at this point in time. I'm just not sure about that yet.
Yeah, the still out for me. I've seen them on the road before, and I've always have to do a double take. So I'm like, wait a minute, there's no one in there, just driving around. But I'd say this: if I could do like a little parking lot tour, that's one thing. That's fine with me. I can do a little circle in the parking lot, like you learn how to drive. But I don't trust it going on the freeway or nothing like that. Not at this point in time.
My very first Georgia gang, Winner and Losers, was a transportation report about these autonomous vehicles. This was 2000, 2001, something like that. And so it was very, very interesting because they've been talking about this a long time. But I hope, transportation is going to change.
Of course.
I just don't know how it will change. Couple of things that are going on right now. Okay, so I did, first of all, I want to let you know, you remember my friend Claire Bartlett that passed away in December. Today, they're going to be honoring her at the Georgia legislature it is the March for Life today. And in the state Senate, her Senator John Albers will be honoring her today. I'm not going to be able to be there, but just remember Claire and Daryl. I talked to Daryl last night. He's doing as well as you can expect after losing your wife 3 months ago. But she was a wonderful person that gave greatly to this state. The other thing that's going on in the Georgia Senate is that a lot of people are running for higher office. Chief among them is the lieutenant governor. Now, the lieutenant governor, I dug into these cases or these ads. In general, you can say anything you want to say about a political person in an ad. Basically, if you wanted to say so-and-so slept with a goat, you probably could get away with it because they're a political person. They've put themselves in there. But there's been some cases that have been filed to try to put some boundaries around that. And Rick Jackson has taken issue with a couple of ads that Burt Jones has done related to what Jackson Healthcare does. And it was just like I thought that, yes, Jackson Healthcare may have staffed the hospital or sold them equipment, but they are not a healthcare provider. So it is not true to say that they participated in transgender surgeries or abortions because they did not. But that's what this lawsuit is going to be about. But Rick Jackson did an answer ad related to this that came out last night that's very interesting because it's in Burt Jones's own words.
Burt Jones is losing, so now he's lying about Rick Jackson. But a few months ago, here's what Burt had to say.
My good friend Rick Jackson knows firsthand what it's like to grow up in the foster care system. And that's what makes his commitment to helping others so powerful. We're incredibly grateful for his leadership and his friendship and his knowledge. Thank you again, Rick, for all that you do for Georgia.
When you see Burt's new attack ads, remember, he doesn't believe them either.
So that's a pretty good ad. Okay, so you're using your own words of the candidate against them. And look, I can say that because it happened to me. Okay, I was a person, I'm sure what this video was probably, I don't know, they might have had some sort of event for Rick and maybe Burt couldn't attend, and so Burt sent this video in for the event. I don't know what the reason was that he made this video, but it was probably something like that. That happens all the time in political worlds, okay? But what's so interesting is that we've got, major issues that people are going to be fighting about in this political race, and it has completely changed. It is completely changed. So let's go to the phones now and talk to Chad in Oakwood. Hey, Chad, how you doing?
Good morning. Y'all doing all right?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
I just want to say God bless you, and I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. But anyway, old Trump is kicking some butt.
Politics at work.
I'm on the phone, man. Anyway, I am. This lady thought I was talking to her. Anyway, I'm at the store. Anyway, Trump's kicking butt, and Iran's going to fall.
Thank you, Chad. Thanks for your call today. Appreciate it very much. Thank you for your kind words. And really, thank you to everybody. I cannot tell you how touching it's been since I've been back from my heart attack. Just the people that have come here to bring me flowers. They've sent me gifts and cards. And you know what? I felt the love. Thank you very much. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk to my good friend, James Rosen. I don't want to say how long I've known him. We'll be back.
Spring is calling. Are you ready to grow? At Full Bloom Nursery, we're kicking off the spring season with 5 acres of perennial shrubs and trees, all ready for your next outdoor project. This is Julie. I'd like to invite you to come experience the difference of a true nursery. Take a stroll through our display gardens and let our knowledgeable staff help you choose the perfect plant for your space. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and Saturday from 9 to 2. Learn more at fullbloommnursery.com and follow us on Facebook to see what's growing.
Waste Eliminator is a full-service waste management company, providing critical disposal, recycling, and environmental solutions for business and residential clients. From large-scale commercial projects to small residential cleanups, Waste Eliminator offers a reliable dumpster removal service tailored to your needs. Whether you're tackling a renovation, new construction, or even a simple home cleanout, Waste Eliminator will manage the waste efficiently and sustainably. Visit online at waste.com.
We're talking with Mike Robertson of Oakwood Tire and More. And Mike, I understand you guys have moved. Where can we find you?
3440 Mabry Road, which is right off of Mountain View.
Still offering the same services.
We won't be doing alignments, but we'll be doing tires. Tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, those kind of things is normal maintenance repair.
Sounds good. Give us the address one more time. Make sure we don't miss out.
You can find us at 3440 Mabry Road at oakwoodtire.com or even the same phone number, 770-535-0943.
Get breaking news fast. Sign up at accesswdun.com for breaking news alerts via text. Log on to accesswdun.com for details and to sign up. You can also sign up to receive local weather and sports alerts. Get the news first with breaking news text alerts from Access WDUN and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30.
Fox News, I'm Therese Crowley. President Trump says Iran is paying the price of 47 years of war against America. Back from talking to voters in Kentucky and Ohio.
Most people say it's already been won. It's just a question of when. When do we stop?
We don't want to let it regrow. And ideally would like to see somebody in there that knows what they're doing. In other words, they can build a country.
And the president says its natural oil will be coming down as the International Energy Agency approved a massive release from global oil reserves, 400 million barrels. Energy Secretary Chris Wright tells Fox the U.S. reserve portion will be tapped next week to help lower prices. But Iran still has explosive vessels enough to set 2 oil tankers on fire off the coast of Iraq. The price of oil jumped again. The U.S. medical tech company Stryker hit by hackers in a suspected Iran-linked cyber attack, but says its products are safe to use today. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. After the family of a beloved North Hall High School teacher publicly asked teens involved in the accident that led to his death to be shown grace, the community is now petitioning Hall County District Attorney Lee Dara. WDUN's Lawson Smith with more.
The online petition started on change.org garnered just under 3,000 signatures as of Wednesday morning. The petition specifically asked the district attorney's office to consider the Hughes family's wishes as proceedings for the teen driver charged with vehicular homicide continue, saying that the accident that led to Hughes' death was not malicious. Access WDUN reached out to Dara, who declined to comment. However, he did confirm he was aware of the petition and the community's sentiments about the situation.
Meanwhile, a funeral service is now set for this Saturday morning at Family Church in Gainesville for Hughes, as that service will be conducted through the Little and Davenport Funeral Home. They're handling the arrangements, with the full details found online at Access WDUN. And after a nationwide search, the Gwinnett County Board of Education announced Wednesday Dr. Alexandra Estrella has been named their sole finalist to serve as superintendent for the Gwinnett County Public Schools. Board said it reached a clear consensus that Dr. Estrella, who currently is superintendent with Norwalk, Connecticut school system, was the clear choice to be their next leader. Details at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Good Thursday morning to you, North Georgia. Rain ending, then partly to mostly sunny skies, but so much cooler. Mid-50s this afternoon. We'll turn mostly clear overnight. It's going to get cold, mid-30s by early tomorrow. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Clayton, 46 degrees, and Commerce, 50, and in Gainesville, 49. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Have you ever been at your wit's end over your identity? Hi, this is Whit Martin, pastor of Asbury Chapel. Life takes us through ups and downs, testing and challenging who we are and even who we think we are. Identities can seem to fluctuate, which means there is a bit of trying things out. But when our identities are grounded in Jesus Christ, we discover our true selves, and with that comes confidence and peace. The Bible says in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, behold, the new has come." To be in Christ means to find ourselves through God and not through anything else. Not through interests, hobbies, passions, or desires. To be in Christ is for something new to come, something that is from God. I invite you to search God's Word and see that God has more for you than who you think you are. And let God reveal to you who you are in Him. And that is Wit's End. Asbury Chapel invites you to learn more by joining us at 758 Main Street or visit asburychapel.net for more info.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
The internet or the radio or social media or nuclear weapons, I, as a judge, should have the power to interpret it much more broadly than the mere text says. Scalia stood athwart all that. Scalia said, no, the Constitution is not a living or dead document. It's an enduring legal text. And if a judge is going to be on it...
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and that was James Rosen, and we have him with us right now about his new book, Scalia, Rise to Greatness. And James Rosen, welcome back to the program. It's been a while.
It has indeed, Martha. You know, there's a lyric by Paul McCartney from 1997 where he's saying, I go back so far, I'm in front of me. And I was thinking about you and how long we've known each other, and we go back so far, I don't even know how we got to know each other anymore.
So I knew you a little bit before the 2004 election, but I think it was like they just pitched you for radio interviews through Fox.
Okay.
But I met you at a bar. And if you remember during that 2004 convention, there were all these protests in the street, and sometimes you just had to like go into wherever you could go in and wait for them to go past. So you were there with, I think, your now wife, then girlfriend, in 2004, and Greg Gutfeld was there too. So it was crazy.
What State of the Union are we talking about?
I'm sorry, not State of the Union. The convention.
What state? Where were we?
Oh,
physically?
New York, New York City.
New York for 04. Okay.
Yeah. Because
Very
the 04 convention was in New York City for
That's
George
right,
Bush.
That's right.
Yep, and
That's
it
the
was
only time I ever met Don King, by the way, the boxing promoter with the electrified hair.
Well, I remember I had this this guy came in, of course, a Columbia University professor. This was at a different place where I was staying, and he had this sign that had like a book on it. You know what I mean? It was written a book. And I sat down and struck up a conversation with him, and I said, you know, why didn't you just put "I hate Bush" on this sign? It would be a lot easier. But he wrote a book.
Yeah, I
because
get
he
it
was
off his chest.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Look, I love the book Scalia, Rise to Greatness. I love Antonin Scalia. He is one of the greatest justices, I think, that ever served on the Supreme Court. I was such a geek. I was at a restaurant in D.C., and I've forgotten the name of the restaurant, but the word got around that he was there. I was having dinner with Rich Minitor, and we sent a note over. And got to go over and say hello. And I barely even remember what I said because I was like a fangirl meeting Justice Scalia.
These are common stories to hear in Washington of people who had a brush with greatness. So you're so kind to bring me back on the program, Martha, and it's great to be back with you, and I'm grateful to hear that you're doing so well. The project is a 3-volume biography of Antonin Scalia, which I'm managing kind of as a second job to my main job, which is Chief Washington Correspondent for Newsmax. And the first book was called Scalia, Rise to Greatness, 1936 to 1986. And it covered the first 50 years of Scalia's life, better than any previous biography. The 2 previous biographies were openly hostile to him, even though he cooperated with one of them. And the first volume, Rise to Greatness, ended with Scalia sitting down in his chair on the Supreme Court. Now we come to 2026, and I have Volume 2 out. And this is called Scalia, Supreme Court Years, 1986 to 2001. And it covers the first half of Justice Scalia's momentous tenure on the Supreme Court. It ends with the national trauma of Bush v. Gore, which is right in the middle of his nearly 30 terms on the court. And it starts with his first day on the job. And I want to emphasize to all of our listeners, Martha, these books are not written for lawyers. I'm not a lawyer, and I wrote the thing. And honestly, just preparing it for hardcovers and rereading it for the first time and going through the editing process, I was cracking up every 10 minutes because Scalia was such a funny and witty man. But this is a book about someone who reached the pinnacle of his profession, was the embodiment of the American dream, the son of a Sicilian immigrant, and whose impact on everyone in America today remains very strong and really essential for us all to understand. If you want to understand modern America and how we got here and the laws of this country and the traditions of this country, you can do no better than reading these books. And the new one's called Scalia, Supreme Court Years, 1986 to 2001. And the first chapter takes you on the first day on the job. What's it like to walk into the Supreme Court for your first day on the job? What does the place look like? What are all the different rooms like? And I got access to Scalia's private correspondence that had never been published before. And he said that at the first conference, where all 9 justices gather in this sort of conference room that looks like a law library, and it's just the 9 of them. And the Chief Justice, William Rehnquist, his first day on the job as the Chief Justice, he'd been elevated from the Associate Justice position, goes around the room by order of seniority, making each justice say, well, how are you going to vote on this case? Give us 2 or 3 lines, very brisk. Scalia wrote to his friend that when it came his time to speak for that first conference, he said he felt, quote, like a character in a Woody Allen movie. But you really get the human man. It's not just about, and I hope we have a moment to talk about his judicial philosophy, and that's what makes Scalia one of the most important Americans of the last 100 years, is because he changed how the law is crafted, how it's debated, and how it's decided in all the courts in this law, and that touches every one of us Americans. You'll get all of that, and you'll understand it, but you'll also get the man, the devout Catholic. The first book traced the formation of Scalia's faith. This book it takes you inside his inner struggle to make sure he wasn't grafting the tenets of his Catholic faith onto his jurisprudence. And of course, you'll get the relationships with the other justices. His deep, deep bond, brothers for life, with Clarence Thomas. His antagonism with Sandra Day O'Connor. I'll close simply by saying there's a previously unpublished photograph in this book, which I got from the Scalia family, from Halloween 1986, taken at the Supreme Court in one of those dark oak-paneled rooms. So Scalia's really only been on the court for about 3 weeks at this point. And the photograph shows him next to Sandra Day O'Connor, who was the justice who had just preceded him to the court. And they're both in professional attire. He's wearing a suit and tie, and she's wearing like a jacket and blouse and skirt. But he has a red bulbous nose on his face, and Justice O'Connor is wearing one of those giant Groucho nose and glasses. And they're having a great time, it seems. And as I say in the caption, it all went downhill from there, because Scalia did not have respect for Justice O'Connor's analytical prowess and let her know it from time to time in the opinions, including one famous opinion in which he said that her writings, quote, cannot be taken seriously. And this caused a rupture between them that played out in different venues, from tennis courts to TV stages, and a lot of previously unpublished anecdotes about all of Scalia's relationships, including that with Maureen Scalia, his children. It's the man in full. It's not just the law.
Yeah, he had a traditional Catholic family, didn't he, where his oldest son ended up being a priest? And
his oldest son wound up being the Secretary of Labor, Eugene
that's right.
Scalia. But one of his 5 sons, he had 5 sons and 4 daughters, which of course gave the boys in Supreme Court terms, a majority.
Yes.
But his son Paul Scalia became Father
That's
Paul
right.
Scalia.
That's right.
And
That's
today
right.
he is the vicar of clergy for the Arlington Archdiocese, and one of the most revered priests in America today.
So the second book, Scalia, the Supreme Court years, 1986 to 2001, right? 1986
Correct.
to 2001. This reminds me of the Robert Caro books, the Master of the Senate books, because they're
on his multi-volume biography of LBJ.
Yes.
I think he has already done 4, and Mr. Caro's in his 80s.
Yes.
And I think he's only gotten Mr. Johnson up to the vice presidency, as far as I know. And I also happen to know about Bob Caro, who I've met, that he only works on a typewriter. And in fact, he has 26 or so of the typewriters, only one of which is working at any given time, and the rest are cannibalized for spare parts. So he'd better hurry, is what I'm saying.
I know. I love that. And, I got into those books because I needed some good information on Richard Russell, Senator Richard Russell. And the middle section, the second book, has got a lot of information about Richard Russell, who was the senator that was his mentor and LBJ's mentor in a lot of ways, and also had a huge control over the United States Senate, even though I think he was only a chairman of a committee for 18 months of his long career.
Russell, I'm glad you're focused on him. I think he's ripe for scholarly reexamination. I will tell you, since this is a Georgia audience, we're talking about Senator Richard Russell from the 60s. There is a tape recording from Lyndon Johnson's White House that was, I believe, recorded in 1966 of a conversation between President Johnson and Senator Russell, where the president was saying about the Warren Commission finding that they assert that Lee Harvey Oswald committed the assassination by himself. And Russell says, I don't believe it. And Johnson replies, I don't believe it either. And it's a very important recording.
It is a very important recording. And it's interesting to go back and look at these folks at different times because, yes, we could go into a whole different path because Richard Russell was a segregationist. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But he died in 1971, and you don't know. I mean, heck, Jimmy Carter was a segregationist in 1971. Okay, so and he changed a lot in the course of his life, and I would not be surprised to see somebody like Richard Russell change also.
Mm-hmm. As the Times did, for sure. What was if I can turn the tables and ask you a question, Martha, what was the occasion for your study, your research into Senator Russell?
So I went back to school I graduated from the University of Georgia in 1979, and then in 2016, I went back to school to get my master's degree in American politics. And so I did class, I did the whole thing. It took me 5 years to do a 2-year degree because I was working full-time for Senator Perdue at the time. And then I worked for Governor Kemp. And so I was doing it part-time, but I wanted to go to class. And it was so cool because I was like older than the professors. I was older than the students. And most of the students were liberal. And it was great because at the beginning, they didn't know what to think about me. But by the end, they were like realizing I was someone who could help them get a job. And so they learned to like me. And I think the best moment of the whole time was I was taking a class called American Presidents in January of 2017. And of course, everybody was cranky because they wanted Hillary Clinton to win. And I'm thinking, how am I going to introduce myself? Because you got to go around. They already didn't like Senator Perdue. And at that time, I was working for him. And I said, I'm Martha Zoller. I work for Senator Perdue. And I'm really glad that Hillary Clinton lost because my father told me I would be the first woman president. And there's still hope. And that made them laugh. And then they didn't hate me so much.
Consider the ice broken.
The ice was broken, that's for sure. Now, the book is Scalia, Supreme Court Years, 1986 to 2001. But I got to talk to you for a minute about the Beatles, okay? I just finished last night watching McCartney, Man on the Run, the new Prime video, which I loved. He is, whenever Paul's involved in a project, though, it's kind of long. That's the only thing I would say about it.
I didn't think it was long enough, Martha. Come on.
You didn't? Okay.
So because no one in the Rosen family desired to accompany me, if you saw this movie, this new documentary about Paul and Linda McCartney and their band Wings in the 70s, it's sort of an authorized production, but it's got a lot of great previously unseen footage and so forth. The only place to see it in a theater near me in Washington, D.C. was Annapolis. So I drove the 45 minutes alone to Annapolis to see it, because if you waited to catch it on Amazon Prime, then you would not see 10 extra minutes of content that the theater goers received. And so I, alone there in the theater, wept continuously throughout the thing. I would say that if you followed Paul McCartney and Wings at all, there weren't too many sort of revelations, but there was a lot of previously unseen footage, and the whole movie begins with the demo, the audio of the demo of Paul on piano by himself, banging out a very early, the earliest version of Silly Love Songs.
Oh, yeah.
Which was very cool.
I loved that part of it. And my sister Linda went to the concert in Atlanta. My two older sisters and my dad and her cousin went. I was considered to be too young. I was about 6 at the time. So they went to the Beatles concert in Atlanta, and which opened the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. And then do
they have their stubs? Do they have anything?
They do. They have all that stuff. My sister Linda has passed away, though, so her daughters have all that stuff. And then I've seen Paul McCartney 6 times since then. And the last time was in 2019. I saw him at Rupp Arena at the University of Kentucky. But my great Paul McCartney story is that when my sister Linda was diagnosed with cancer in 2008, my brother, who thinks I can do anything, said, I bet you could get in touch with Paul McCartney and he'll do something for Linda. And I said, okay, well, that's a tall order, but I'll try. So I had a friend named Patty Dahlstrom, who was a songwriter in the 70s, who happened to be living in London at the time and who did have some connection with Paul. So she was able to get me the contact for Stuart Bell, which was his longtime PR guy. And I sent him an email on a Saturday. I was at CPAC. And by Tuesday, I got a call from a woman named Hannah Lee that said she was Paul McCartney's assistant and that he wanted to do something for my sister. And so by Friday, I had a letter in hand written by Paul McCartney to Linda and a signed CD of Now, which was the newest CD at the time. And I just, he's just as nice as you think he is. He didn't have to do it. But I thought because her name was Linda, if I could get it in front of him, he would do something. And he did.
I thought the same thing. And,
yes.
That's really wonderful to hear, except, of course, for the loss of your sister.
Yes.
On which, of course, we offer you condolences today. And I'm sure her memory remains a blessing. But my great McCartney story is that he plucked me and 2 other strangers out of the audience at a studio taping in 2005.
Oh my gosh!
At Sirius XM headquarters in Washington. It was an audience of 47 people in chairs, 2 of whom were my wife and me, whom you've met.
Yes.
And he said,
she's too good for you, by the way, James. She's too good for you.
What's that?
She's too good for you.
Gosh. better than I deserve. It was just him on acoustic and plus a piano. It was like an unplugged type thing. It was called Sirius XM Artist Confidential, and it eventually aired on the radio, on Sirius XM. But he said, for this next number, I could use some volunteers. Anybody feel like volunteering? And so, I was in the second row with Sarah, and literally maybe 10 yards away from him. So I shot up both my arms like an overenthusiastic fifth grader. And he goes, okay, you and you and you in the back. And my wife had seen me. We were only married about a little over a year at that point. But when we met in 2002, it was not long after George Harrison had died near the end of 2001. And she had seen me still 6 months after, just completely devastated by that event and, pulling over to cry because, While My Guitar Gently Weeps would come on the radio. So she understood my propensity for absolute lachrymosity in the sort of figuratively or now literally in the company of a Beatle. And as I was scooching out of the road to go approach Sir Paul on that stage, she said, keep your blankety blank together. You cannot weep on this man. As you say, she's good for me. So I get up there and to try and steady myself, I shake his hand. I was the first to arrive. And I said, union wages, right, Paul? And he goes, no, you're not going to get paid for this. Right? And everyone laughed. Then he winked at me and he said, don't get above your station.
That's right.
That's
so great. We are, can you stay one more segment? Can you stay till the top of the hour?
Because I got to finish the Paul story.
That's right. So we'll take a break, then we'll come back, talk a little more with James Rosen.
It's knowledge you won't find anywhere else.
If you walk out of your home on a July day and you can see your breath, you probably didn't brush.
It's Mornings on Main Street with Bill Main. Weekdays on North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
Welcome back, people. I'm here with the one and only lottery-winning, pink-haired, 80-year-old rap sensation who just won $1 million every year for the rest of her life. And Edith.
Hi, darling. I'm just living out my dreams.
And dropping a new single.
I'll be a millionaire as long as pink's in my hair. Millionaire for what? Millionaire for life.
Your fans are gonna love that.
With $1 million every year, my bank account loves it too.
Get your chance to win $1 million every year for the rest of your life. Play the Millionaire for Life game, only from the Georgia Lottery. Please play responsibly. Always check and sign your ticket.
Got a scratcher that didn't win? Well, now you can play it once again. That's right. All non-winning scratchers at any price point can be entered to win the rolling jackpot. Visit GALottery.com for details and to enter. The rolling jackpot. Another way to win from the Georgia Lottery.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing and check out the Players Club at GALottery.com.
Is your 401k healthy enough to fund your full retirement? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and on the next edition of Truth in Planning, financial planner Gary Anderson and I will discuss today's new retirement reality. We'll also talk about the consequences that follow from the advice that you follow. We've done the work. You just need to tune in for Truth in Planning this Saturday afternoon at 2 on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
This is Grant Nichols, and at Loretta's Country Kitchen, we know life can really pile up. There's work, getting the kids to practice, shopping. With all that, the week can really wear you out. The last thing you want to do is spend Saturday in the kitchen. Not to worry, we have you covered with Saturday lunch at Loretta's. That's right, not only are we open for breakfast on Saturdays, we're also serving up lunch from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Give your kitchen and your family a break with Saturday lunch at Loretta's Country Kitchen, Mundy Mow Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
When you have a problem with your roof, you want someone who can respond quickly, but also who knows roofing. That's what you get at Georgia Select Roofing. This is Chris Earls, and we do roofing right. Estimates are free, we can help you navigate your insurance claim, and we also offer financing. Check out our Google reviews, and you'll see that Georgia Select Roofing offers the best service around. See us today at GeorgiaSelectRoofing.com or call us at 678-316-6899. Family owned and operated, Georgia Select Roofing has you covered.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, a new assistant school superintendent is hired in White County's school system. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. We're here with James Rosen, the author of the Scalia books. There's 2 of the 3 that are already out there. The most recent one is Scalia, Supreme Court Years, 1986 to 2001. But we've been talking about the Beatles, and especially Paul McCartney, because that will be a day I will have to take off when Sir Paul passes away, because I will be a puddle in the floor, James.
Oh, I'm not. The prospect of, this is what was so devastating about George Harrison's death, is it really sort of brought home the proximity of the Beatles to death. And the idea that there should be, at some point in the not-too-distant future, no Beatles alive at all is just simply something that I regard as fantastical and impossible and an unacceptable rip in the fabric of modernity. It just can't be permitted to exist. I have a sneaking suspicion that the last Beatle left standing might turn out to be Pete Best, the drummer who, for the Beatles for 2 years, who was sacked right before they hit it big for Ringo Starr, and who's still with us.
So how did your series, finish that story, yes.
Yeah, so he instructed the 3 of us what to play on the piano. I don't even play the piano. He literally took my hand in his hand like a God touching David and said, ching, ching, this is all you have to do, ching, ching, just press these 2 buttons, these 2 keys again and again. And I did. It was the song How Kind of You. And I tell the more complete story of this, of how he warned us not to do something, and I did it anyway, and how I had to sort of jolt myself back into getting into groove with the other 2 people on the piano and Sir Paul. I wrote this for National Review last year. At the close of our segment, I will post a link to this article, My Encounter with Sir Paul, on my feed on X, at James Rosen TV.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. That is so great. And I will try to get watch that longer version of my husband and I loved watching the Band on the Run, McCartney Man on the Run. It was fantastic.
The 10 extra minutes that basically followed the end of the film, and it was a sort of mini documentary wherein the director of the film, Neville Morgan, is with Sir Paul in what looks like one of Sir Paul's houses somewhere. And there's a lot of artifacts around.
James Rosen, at James Rosen TV. He's going to post that link. He's also got the information about his books. And you know what? We're going to have you back again a lot sooner. We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show.
Some car dealers want to sell you a car. At Hardy Chevrolet, we'd rather help you find the vehicle that's right for you. This is Mike Cormier. We call it the Hardy Chevrolet difference. Since you're the one who will be in the driver's seat of that new Chevy, we think you should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making the selection. It's like Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter.
WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
This is a Fox News alert. We're hearing from Iran's new supreme leader for the first time. I'm Dave Anthony. It's a statement he wrote that an anchor read on Iran State TV. Vowing Iran will have revenge for atrocities and not refrain. Also vowing to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed, halting oil shipping until the war is over.
Now, Iran's new supreme leader in this statement goes on to say all U.S. bases should immediately be closed in the region, and those bases will be attacked. He calls on unity among the people of Iran.
Mojtaba Khamenei has not been seen in public yet. He took over just days ago, replacing his father.
Remember, Iran's former supreme leader was taken out in the opening strikes of Operation Epic Fury when this war began. And in those opening strikes, Mojtaba Khamenei's wife, mother, and one son were also killed.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. As Israel was targeted again overnight by Iranian missiles and rockets fired from Hezbollah in Lebanon. It's now day 13 of Operation Epic Fury, and with Iran continuing to counterattack, U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, just told Fox.
The Iranian strategy of sowing chaos, shooting in all directions, hitting its Gulf neighbors, even hitting countries as far away as Turkey and Azerbaijan is absolutely backfiring.
The day after the UN Security Council approved an anti-Iran resolution.
All of the GCC countries, led by Bahrain, uniformly and publicly denounced Iran.
Iran has bombed 2 oil tankers today off the Iraq coast and other cargo ships in the region and set fire to a fuel storage site in Oman. So there is a big stock market sell-off right now, and oil prices are spiking up another 7%. President Trump just posted on Truth Social, when those oil prices rise, we make a lot of money. But a far greater interest and importance is stopping an evil empire, Iran, from having nuclear weapons and destroying the Middle East. The president told reporters last night,
most people say it's already been won. It's just a question of when. When do we stop?
America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. Funeral service set for Saturday morning at Family Church in Gainesville for Jason Hughes, the North Hall High School teacher who died late Friday night, March 6th. Little and Davenport Funeral Home is handling arrangements for the funeral, with the obituary found online at Access WDUN. Funeral Home announcing that because of Hughes' impact on the community, organizers expect a large turnout. Additional gathering space will be set up on the church field, where the service will be live streamed. Community members are asked to park at North Hall High School, where shuttle service will transport attendees to the church. After a nationwide search, the Gwinnett County Board of Education announced Wednesday Dr. Alexandra Estrella has been named sole finalist to serve as the superintendent for Gwinnett County's public schools. WDUN's Logan Landers reports.
The board said it reached a clear consensus that Dr. Estrella was the strongest candidate to lead the district. The search was conducted in partnership with Alma Advisory Group, an executive search firm, and included surveys, focus groups, student engagement opportunities, and community listening sessions across the county. The board also thanked Interim Superintendent Dr. Al Taylor for his leadership and continued service to GCPS during the transition.
Georgia U.S. Senator John Ossoff announced $1.8 million in federal funding that will assist a local Salvation Army. WDUN's Hamilton Keener with more.
The Salvation Army of Gainesville plans to renovate their homeless shelter, upgrade kitchen and dining areas, and renovate the gym and child care facilities with the funding. In a statement, Ossoff said he will continue to help Georgians get the support and resources they need. The funding is part of the bipartisan Consolidated Appropriations Act that included 5 of the 12 fiscal year 2026 appropriations and became law on February 3rd after passing both the House and Senate.
And White County School System is promoting a longtime director and educator within their system to be their next assistant superintendent of teaching and learning. A press release from the White County system Wednesday announced Mrs. Jill Bauman will begin her new role as assistant superintendent April 1st. She's currently serving as director for White County's federal programs, a position she has held since July of 2023. She brings more than 20 years of experience within school systems covering White, Habersham, and Hall counties. More news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN forecast.
Good Thursday morning to you, North Georgia. Rain ending, then partly to mostly sunny skies, but so much cooler. Mid-50s this afternoon. We'll turn mostly clear overnight. It's going to get cold, mid-30s by early tomorrow. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Ellijay, 45 degrees. Sugar Hill, 50. And in Gainesville, 49. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I'm Rick Jackson. My dad abandoned us. My mom was an alcoholic, so I left the projects. Shoe shining, ticket scalping, vacuum sales. I found purpose in work and built a $3 billion business. Like President Trump, I don't owe anybody anything. And like you, I'm sick of career politicians. I'm running for governor to lead America in criminal deportations, to cut income taxes in half, Freeze our insane property taxes. Reform the system so that anyone who can work will work, and not just sit around binge watching Netflix and eating Cheetos. I'll let law enforcement do their job. And if you're caught helping a child change their sex, you're going to jail. I'm Rick Jackson, and I'll get these done. Paid for by Jackson for Governor, Inc.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
Great British banknotes produced by the Bank of England, and they have on them giant figures like Winston Churchill, and yet they're proposing to replace people like him with a picture of a beaver. No, I'm not making it up. This is actually what they're proposing. This is how PC mad and loony everyone's gone, including the Bank of England. I think it's absolutely crackers.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and this is my friend Roger Gewolb is on, and he actually took me by Paul McCartney's house at St. John's Wood, and we had just finished up, Roger, we just finished up an interview with kind of a Beatles expert, and so it's making me think about that little trip we took when you took us on a driving tour of St. John's Wood. So it is a wonderful time, and that was Nigel Farage talking about specifically how they're going to take Winston Churchill off of a banknote, but they're also taking Jane Austen and some other historical figures off of banknotes and going to put animals on the banknotes. I don't understand that.
Well, I don't think many people do, but it's just, these are controversial figures because Churchill, I mean, they're
because they were heroes? Yeah.
because they were heroes, because it might offend some people. It's just, this place is going nuts day by day. And it's reached a fever pitch yesterday. Bridget Phillipson, who's one of the ministers, announced to all British employment agencies and all British employers that in their advertisements from now on, they really shouldn't use words like ambitious or competitive or entrepreneurial, because these words are toxically masculine and take away from the chances for females to succeed in these jobs. This is the most ridiculous thing, and this is a woman who is so ambitious in her own right that everybody knows she would do anything to get Starmer's job.
You know what's so funny about that is I really take offense at that as a woman who entered the workforce in 1980, where I was in a lot of rooms one of the only women, if not the only woman. And there's nothing wrong with being ambitious and competitive and wanting to do better in things, but you can also bring the skills that women bring to jobs all the time, that they're better at working with people, usually. Maybe not this woman, but...
Well, all of that. But the point is that it's 1984. She's actually telling employers how to hire people and what to do. Of course, it's only a suggestion, quote unquote. But I mean, every day there's something new, and there's this new Islamophobia law that they've just passed, which it makes it a crime to criticize Islam in many conditions. It's a very complex. It's very cleverly thought out. They're doing anything to pander to the Muslim vote, and I don't think the Muslims are fooled for a moment. They know these people aren't interested in them. They're just trying to get their vote. But they've really gone off the rails.
Yeah, I thought for a minute woke was dead. But it seems like Keir Starmer is trying to keep it alive.
I don't think this is so much woke as 1984. This is control.
The book 1984. Yeah.
This is the Great Reset. Woke is kind of mindless. It's like some of the protesters that you see out in the street where they're asked, which river, which sea, or what are you doing here, or what's actually this about, and they don't know why they're even there. I mean, that's kind of woke. You're doing something because somebody told you it was the thing to do. This is very calculated sort of control. Anyway, it's gotten to a point where for many people, all kinds of people are writing and saying that it's tipped the scales, it's tipped it over. And I have to say, in my case, I was quite shocked. I received a telephone call the other day asking me if I would stand as a candidate for the Reform Party in the upcoming elections in May. And I said, well, I'm a broadcaster. I'm nonpartisan. I try to be neutral and all the rest. But actually, I said yes because it's the only way to save this country. It's the only political party that makes sense.
Good for you, because
it's the only political party. I mean, there's so many things wrong with the Reform Party, but it's the only party that's talking common sense. The others are all nuts.
But here's where, I'm a little more optimistic than a lot of people are, that you've got Milou in Argentina. You've got things turning around, it looks like, with some of the candidates coming up in Brazil. You've got Poliver in Canada, who's talking about all the things that Americans used to talk about. You've got Trump doing what he's doing, related to kind of resetting the world order. You've got, even the German chancellor is saying the right things. I see, when you talk about the reset, I know you're talking about the UK, but there is something going on. Meloni in Italy. I mean, there is something going on where common sense is coming back.
Well, that's very heartening, and you're absolutely right. And the two outliers are Starmer in Britain
and Macron,
and Macron to a certain extent, but even more Albo in Australia.
Okay.
Albanese, and I think that those countries will be ignored, swept aside by the tide of all the others you just mentioned. What's happening, because in the UK, it's reaching a point where every day there's something else, and British people are just they're very tolerant, and they let people. You find the most eccentric people in the world in Britain. They're wonderful, and everybody lets everybody more or less be however they want to be, and that's why you get these great eccentrics, all sorts of people like Jeffrey Barnard, and it's fine. But it gets to a certain point, and then the Brits kind of rise up and go, wait a minute, we don't like this, and that's where this is going. And
the cost of this has been, and even in the United States, where 25 years ago, when I first started talking about illegal immigration, one of the arguments, and it was a true argument, was made that immigrants who come in, mostly Latino immigrants that come into the United States, never used our welfare system. I mean, they basically came in, they worked hard. If they were on the welfare system, it was maybe for 6 months, and then they went on and built businesses and did things. And that was the argument on the pro-immigration side as to why we should have more immigration. What's happened in the last 25 years is now the largest group of users of our welfare system are illegal immigrants or immigrants that have a combination of legal and illegal immigrants in their families. These numbers just came out. And it's because we have thrown these benefits at folks that really don't deserve them. I mean, if I'm paying my taxpayers' dollars, and I'm a compassionate person, but I practice my compassion in the many charities that I give to in my own community. My compassion, I don't want to be practiced with my tax dollars. I want the work of government to be done by my tax dollars.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's probably the same thing here and a lot of other places, but it's all just reaching Alice in Wonderland. It's just reaching a level of madness that's unbelievable. When you see, a minister of government saying, don't use the word competitive because it's too masculine. That is offensive to women. I mean, and coming out of the mouth of an extremely competitive woman, And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I wish she would replace Starmer.
Yeah.
I don't know if she'd be any better,
Well,
but I mean, it's just insane. People are parroting things that they think will get votes.
Well, and it's funny because a few days ago we had an attempted terrorist attack in New York City outside of the mayor's residence, and the person that saved kept the bomb from going off was a 46-year-old New York City police officer who jumped over, saw something that wasn't right, jumped over the stanchions, and ran and tackled the 18-year-old kid that had the bomb in his hand, and probably saved a lot of people because he did that.
Sure.
People would call that toxic masculinity. But if that's what toxic masculinity is, I say bring it on. We need more of it.
Yes, absolutely. No, it's as I said in a program earlier today, I said this country is upside down, inside out, and backwards right now. It's just, there's nowhere on earth like it. And for this to happen to England, to Britain, to the font of knowledge and culture and everything of America and so many other places, to the home of blah, 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 all of that. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But, Martha, George Orwell didn't place 1984 in the UK by accident, I guess.
Absolutely. Roger Gewolb, our reading assignment or rereading assignment is George Orwell's 1984. I know you guys all read that. I know you guys all read that when you were in high school, but it's not a bad idea to go back and read it again. Thanks, Roger, for being with us today.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. We'll be back on the Martha Zoller Show.
It's your daily civics lesson.
If it's mentioned in the Constitution, the feds have final say over it, and immigration is one of those things mentioned in the Constitution.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, weekdays at 9 on North Georgia's News Talk, WDUN.
Would you take advice on how to collect money from the folks that owe it to you? That's exactly what you do when you let an insurance company steer you to their contract shop. At Nichols Body Shop, we earn our customers one at a time. We depend on repeat customers and referrals to keep our shop busy. When you need a repair shop, please consider picking a shop that works for you. Nichols Body Shop in Flowery Branch, where the best sign of a quality repair is no sign at all. Find us on Facebook or call 770-967-8200.
Spring is calling. Are you ready to grow? At Full Bloom Nursery, we're kicking off the spring season with 5 acres of perennial shrubs and trees, all ready for your next outdoor project. This is Julie. I'd like to invite you to come experience the difference of a true nursery. Take a stroll through our display gardens and let our knowledgeable staff help you choose the perfect plant for your space. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and Saturday from 9 to 2. Learn more at fullbloomnursery.com and follow us on Facebook to see what's growing.
Got hills, heavy brush, or tough terrain that's slowing you down? Howard Brothers has the solution. VinTrack mowers. Built for steep slopes and demanding terrain where traditional equipment struggles, VinTrack is engineered to handle the hard jobs. And with more than 30 available attachments, it's not just a mower, it's a year-round machine. Schedule your demo with Howard Brothers today and see what VinTrack can do for you.
250 years of America, built one town, one voice, one unforgettable mile at a time. This year, as our nation celebrates its 250th birthday, Travel with Anita brings those stories to life with Quarter Miles Travel. We're sharing the places where history still breathes, communities that shape the country, and landscapes that remind us of who we are. But these aren't just stories to hear. There are places you can go, roads you can travel, experiences you can step into. Quarter Miles Travel connects you to real destinations, real people, and real journeys waiting for you. Listen to us on air, online, and wherever you get your podcasts. Then visit travelwithanita.com for itineraries, travel ideas, and places where your next story begins. The adventure starts when you reach into your pocket.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, funeral services now are set for this Saturday morning for North Hall High School teacher and golf coach Jason Hughes. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN talk and text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Brothers Defect has steak and lobster. How's your steak and lobster?
All right, damn near decent.
How's yours?
I'm ready for war.
We're going to war.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. And Logan, it's just been a little blip because this one got batted down so fast it wasn't even funny. That there were some people, I hate to even say on the left, just kind of stupid people that made comments about what they were feeding these guys before they were going out on their missions to start the war with Iran. And what's silly is it goes to show they don't know their history. That is a common thing to do when you're about to send somebody into battle, is that you give them a really good meal. That's a common thing to do.
I'm about to say, because they're not getting gourmet meals out there when they're fighting.
Once they're out there, they're eating MREs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I know I've heard some horror stories about how those taste, so
That's right.
they're enjoying that steak and lobster at this point in time.
Yeah, so I did a thing it was called JCOC, where I went to the Marine training base in South Carolina. I got yelled out onto the footprints. I had to pretend like I was going through basic training. I was in my 50s, so it wasn't that hard. But they gave you a little taste of it. And then at lunchtime, we had lunch with some of the guys that were on the thing called the Crucible. The Crucible is your final test before you become a Marine, where you have a 54-hour war game, and you basically you don't eat for 54 hours. You're acting just like you're in a battle.
Right.
Okay. And so they do give them a lunch break because they don't want to hurt him. So we sat with this guy for lunch. He was 21 years old. He had gotten into the Marines, not because it used to be like judges would sentence you to the Marines, but they don't do that anymore. But what happened was he was getting into some trouble that he thought could get out of hand, and he had the wherewithal to say, I need some structure in my life. I'm going to join the Marines before I get into some real trouble.
Hopefully this will straighten him out.
That's right. And so we were standing there talking, and we were having meals ready to eat, and they're like 5,000 calorie meals.
Right.
Because when you're out and you don't know when you're going to eat again, you got to make sure you're getting enough to eat. And it wasn't that good, but it was clever. Like you just put water in one bag and you shake it up and you get a meal out of it. And then you have all kinds of other things in the bag that doesn't spoil. Okay. It's called Meals Ready to Eat, MRE. But we were laughing because we were talking to him, and I said, so tell me, about your the Crucible. And he goes, well, ma'am, I'm just happy to be sitting and talking to somebody that's not yelling at me. So it was.
His eardrums thanked you for that.
That's right, absolutely. So we got a message in from Jerry in Beaufort. It said, "Good morning, Miss Martha, loud and clear in Beaufort, Georgia, on such a rainy, nasty day. Currently, the lamestream media is calling the war in Iran a conflict. When their wording changes to war, and that will happen soon, is to add fear, resentment, frustration to our citizens and what they may be feeling at the longevity of this struggle. If the world economies are weakened or affected by the disruptions in oil, it will become Trump's war. And if gas prices don't stabilize and help the everyday struggling American family, we can say goodbye to the midterms. Just don't believe there's enough time. And the Iranians, as they have shown, believe that they have time on their side. They do not care if the world economies come down. They do not care if the Muslim Brotherhood despises what they're doing. They do not care because of their rabid hate for America and Israel. All the good that our president has done in his second term will be erased by one colossal event. I hate to rain on everybody's parade. Mother Nature is doing that. But on rainy days, I'm not quite as positive as normal." And look, I understand your feeling, Jerry. I just think we can't predict what's going to happen. Donald Trump has so upended predictions. In the last term, not as much, but in this term. And when you have Hillary Clinton, we played that yesterday, Hillary Clinton praising him for what he did at NATO and what he's done related to Iran and how he's handled these interventions, then there's something going on there. And I think there are more normal Democrats than we're giving credit for. Now, granted, I know I'm really positive, and my friend Michael Levine will tell me that I am just too half full about things, and maybe I am, and maybe I'll be proven wrong. But I think it's more like 6 months, and that maybe the euphoria of it ending and getting better quickly will help us. I do agree with you, Jerry, that it is ours to lose. Well, it's not ours to lose in this midterm. It is the Democrats to lose because the Democrats should win in the midterms. History tells us that the party out of power regains some power, not all power, but some power in the midterm election. We have seen that with everyone except George Bush in 2004 or 2002. So the hard thing will be is if Republicans keep the power. And Trump is approaching this very differently. And I don't know if it's the right or wrong way to approach it. And we shall see. Now, this idea of having a convention so it looks like he's on the ballot. And of course, you can never predict if he's going to say something really crazy. But all in all, I think Donald Trump has done what he promised to do. It's been chaotic. It's been messy. But you're right, Jerry, that if we're paying $3.50 or $3.75 for gas in October or September, that's going to be a problem. If we're back down to around $3 a gallon, I don't even think it has to go down to $2.55 again. I think if it gets back down to like $2.95, because you know how they do prices, they never do round numbers. But if it goes back down to like $2.95, then I think people will feel better about it. And I don't know. I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Are we still a country that doesn't want to change horses in midstream if we're in a conflict? I don't know anymore because I think our attention spans are so short. And what I would say to all of you, and I think that you guys have to say to your friends and your neighbors and your children and your grandchildren, is to have perspective about what they're reading and looking at. Be inquisitive, because just because you don't remember anything like this in your lifetime doesn't mean that it has never happened before. And in fact, there's very few things that are new in this world. And I think that what's different about this Iranian war, and I will call it a war, is that Iran is attacking people that would normally be on their side. And when you go after your allies, that's a problem. This is why Keir Starmer's having a problem in the UK. So we'll think more about that. We'll be back.
You don't need the luck of the Irish or follow the rainbow to find a pot of gold.
Just get to Krause Family Hyundai of Gainesville, where you'll get 115% of book value for your trade. And during our Saving of the Green sales event, discover as low as 0% APR financing on popular models like the 2026 Santa Fe. Plus, you get America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty, and Hyundai Assurance. Don't just wear green. Come save green at Krause Family Hyundai on Atlanta Highway off I-985 in Gainesville, or visit KrauseFamilyHyundai.com for full details.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids. Rolaids' dual-active formula has calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. Yeah, you heard right. 2 actives for that powerful relief. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaid spells powerful relief. Read each label. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Ryan Blaney wins the Straight Talk Wireless 500.
You know, I had a couple mistakes on pit road and learned from them, move forward, and I didn't have a mistake, the rest of the day.
Up next, NASCAR rolls the dice in Vegas at the Pennzoil 400, presented by Jiffy Lube. We'll have it Sunday at 3 on North Georgia's home of NASCAR. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm CJ Pop. Iran's Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei delivering his first address to the world, saying Iran will not refrain from avenging the blood of its martyrs.
The latest remarks, though, that we are getting from the Supreme Leader via state media, and we are quoting Reuters here, indicate that he will continue ordering the attacks on U.S. bases in the region and continue efforts to close the Strait of Hormuz.
Fox's Trey Yanks in Tel Aviv. The Supreme Leader claims warm relations with their Gulf neighbors, even though they've been bombing them. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Michael Walsh, pushing back on Fox's America's Newsroom.
All of the GCC countries, led by Bahrain, uniformly and publicly denounced Iran.
Iran also attacking 2 oil tankers earlier today in the Persian Gulf. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. Developing story in Habersham County, where an active manhunt has been reported this morning from the sheriff's office. Several Habersham County agencies are searching for a white male suspect who left a home on the 3800 block of Mud Creek Road at around 7:45 this morning after an alleged assault. That suspect also described to have a beard, possibly a white scarf or bandana over his face. As of last report, anyone with details should contact Habersham County's 911 center. Mud Creek area residents also being advised at this hour to keep doors to their homes, vehicles, and outbuildings locked. A Hart County woman has died following a Tuesday evening crash, according to the Georgia State Patrol. More from WDUN's William Daughtry.
Officials said they responded to the single vehicle crash on Georgia 51 near Tanglewood Lane. A 2025 Hyundai Tucson was traveling north on Georgia 51 at a high rate of speed. It left the roadway and flipped several times, according to the State Patrol. 45-year-old Candace Mize of Hart County was ejected and pronounced dead at the scene. No other occupants were in the vehicle at the time.
And White County school system is promoting a longtime educator and director to become their next assistant superintendent. A press release from White County on Wednesday announcing Mrs. Jill Bauman will begin her new role as assistant superintendent on April 1st. She's currently serving as the director for White County's federal programs. You'll find more news online at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Rain ending, then partly to mostly sunny skies. So much cooler. Mid-50s this afternoon. Mostly clear overnight. Cold. Mid-30s by early tomorrow. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Cleveland, 47 degrees. Decula, 51. And in Gainesville, 49. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
If you need on-time expert plumbing service, Conditioned Air Systems is here for you. Our plumbers deliver the highest quality service in North Georgia 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We've been North Georgia's source for elite residential and commercial services since 1983. Our licensed plumbers offer services for installation and repairs of pipes, water heaters, septic lines, and sump pumps. Choose Conditioned Air Systems for quality service and unmatched knowledge for your plumbing needs.
Nobody wants to talk about septic services until there's a problem.
We're here to help. At SNS Septic, we are here 24 hours a day to help when you need us.
As a fourth-generation business, we know that SNS Septic is the one to call for pumping, repairs, installations, and more. We cover residential, commercial, and government projects. If you have septic or plumbing problems, call us.
That's right. You can find us on the web at septicga.com.
Call SNS Septic today to set up an inspection of your system and have everything taken care of before it all hits the fan.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Hey, y'all, listen up. This just happened in Missouri. I mean, an illegal alien with a full CDL license behind the wheel of an 80,000-pound rig driving the wrong way. And I mean for miles. Listen, I ran a trucking company for 30 years, started with just one truck right here in Georgia, grew it to over 100 drivers hauling freight all over this country. And that's a good living, but it is a serious job. I mean, you share those roads with my family and with your family. I mean, Biden opened the border and let CDL schools self-certify. I mean, like it was nothing. And now we've got illegals who can't read a stop sign. I mean, rolling down the highway next to your kid's school bus. That's why we need Delilah's Law. Yank those CDLs from every illegal truck driver in California, New York, Minnesota, everywhere. I mean, Trump talked about it at the State of Union. It's time for action, y'all.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's Mike Collins. He's running for the United States Senate. He's a congressman from the 10th District, and he's with us right now. Mike, welcome back. How are you?
Hey, good morning. You know, the only thing I can say to that is preach on, brother.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely, I mean, it makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't understand why common sense is such a, a rare commodity these days.
It is. And the thing about it is, I can talk about it pretty easy because I've got commercial driver's license in my back pocket right now. And I know how hard it is to get them. And I know for a fact that if you can't speak or read English, I don't know how you got those licenses. Because you've got it's an extensive test and training over days, not just roll in there and take a test and a driving test.
Yeah, I just think it's so crazy, this whole way things are. You know, I have a decent relationship with Senator Ossoff, Mike. I mean, we exchange messages every now and then. He's come on the show a few times. And the last message I sent to him, I don't mind to tell you, because I've talked about it on the air, is that you are so wrong about what you're doing with the Department of Homeland Security. You know, that we have got a situation now that's different than when he took one of the many votes against it. We've got a terrorist plot that was upended, it looks like, in Los Angeles. We had an attempted terrorist attack in New York. We had an attempted terrorist attack in Austin. Okay? There are planes, trains, and automobiles that are left uncovered because of DHS not being funded. And the fact of the matter is, the thing they're arguing about, we've already said we'll give cameras. Body cams. We've already said most of the things that they said they wanted to talk about related to ICE, Republicans have been willing to talk about. Okay? And they, I said, if there's a major terrorist attack, it's the Democrats that are going to get blamed. And they are the ones that held out for it. And I have not heard anything back from him about it.
Well, you won't. And the thing is, whether it's shutting down DHS, whether it's shutting down the government to give illegals health care, or whether it's transporting them all over the country and clothing and housing them. It seems to me that John Ossoff's got his priority is more on illegal aliens than it is the people of the state of Georgia in this country. And the reason is, and it's simple, the reason is we've cleaned up our voter rolls here. We've gotten our drop boxes done. We know for a fact that we've got safer election. Now, we need to save that big time. But he knows that. And illegals, that's where they need their votes.
Well, and what's funny...
They'll do anything they can to continue down that.
Well, and what's crazy about it is when I first started talking about illegal immigration many years ago, there was one of the arguments that was made, and it was a true argument, is that Hispanics in general that came in to the country legally or illegally did not use our social services. And if they did, it was less than 6 months that they were on social services. I saw a report yesterday that said now illegal immigrants and immigrants that come into the country are the biggest users of our social safety net. And that's not what this social safety net was designed for. So give me some good news, I hope, about what's happening in Congress, and then tell me how your Senate race is going.
Yeah, no, the good news is we do have the SAVE Act sitting over in the Senate. Unfortunately, the bad news is they're not moving it. And I'm encouraging everybody, you need to pick up the phone and you need to start calling. There's nothing that happens in that place up there, and it never does until the American people demand it. 80% plus want to make sure that we have secure elections, and we do that with a voter ID, and they want that. So we need to make sure that we get that passed. We've got a number of incredible things. Martha, I tell everybody that if you're a small businessman, especially, and you're a member of Congress, this is the best time in the history of this country to be up there. We are putting so many different pieces of the puzzle back on the board at one time. And you need to do that. You can't just do one little thing and expect this economy to turn back around, because we've had decades of getting beat on. And just being in one of the toughest industries out there, I think the reason I've been so successful is just the fact that I was able to take that to Washington, D.C. and actually get things done. So I've got a Permit Act sitting over in the Senate right now. It's already had one hearing. We've got a really good chance of getting that to the president's desk, and that's going to change the permitting world forever. Whether it's building houses, roads, bridges, water treatment, it doesn't matter. So it's neat times to be up there. I'm excited. It's an honor to be there. Look forward to just throwing my old chair on top of my desk and sliding it across that rotunda for next year.
And it's a very interesting time in Georgia because there are so many people running for offices, up and down the ballot, both parties. It's a big time. I think that what's interesting is what we've seen in the last 5 weeks since a new person got into the governor's race, that there's also been more interest in the Senate race as a result of that. And what we've seen is your polling get better throughout all this time. Now, granted, the only poll that matters, we know that, is the one where you get the voters out and get them to actually cast their vote. But it's got to be gratifying to you that the work you're doing, it hasn't paid off yet, but it's paying off.
Yeah, Martha, it's been incredibly humbling. The amount we organized all 159 counties in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
we have over 800 county chairs out there pushing our message, getting support, putting out signs. It's so you can feel the momentum. But there is a distinct difference in the 3 candidates running, and I know how to beat John Ossoff. You beat John Ossoff by not by not having a record, but by having a record and showing that your record is 180 degrees from the way that he voted. And then letting the people in the state of Georgia see that, and they're not going to go with him, but you've got to have something to show them on what you've been doing while you were in Congress, or at least while you were in the private sector.
The elites that are supporting John Ossoff, and what they don't understand, and they underestimate people like us. When I was a buyer at Riches many years ago, when I was young and innocent, I loved going into showrooms in New York City because they thought I was a little slow because I had a Southern accent. And because I, wasn't, I came out with great deals and I knew how to do business. And one of the best preparations for what I do now is the fact I spent $10 million a year of other people's money, while I was a buyer at Riches. And it's fun to spend other people's money, Mike, okay? But It teaches you how Congress gets out of control. But I think the same thing is happening with you, is that people in Atlanta and the people that they associate with in California, they are underestimating you because you have a Southern accent. You are kind of, you're I don't want to say you're a good old boy because you're a man with children and grandchildren, but you're a tough, hardworking guy in a business that's tough and hardworking, and they don't understand that.
And I'll tell you, we've got a 20-point lead, and it's not because I'm being pushed by a governor or because I've spent the most money, because I haven't. It's because I work hard, and that's what it's going to take to defeat John Ossoff. I mean, Martha, you've heard me say it. The good Lord put me on this earth to work, and I absolutely love it. And if you look at the polling out there, I mean, it's showing that we're doing the best among both moderates and independents. And you can't win this thing in November if you don't have a broad coalition. And I think it's just the fact that they've seen that I've gone up there and actually been successful. I mean, there's not too many people that can say they've been up there and in their first term got 2 pieces of legislation passed. And look at the success that the Lake and Riley Act has had. I mean, in 1 year, over 20,000 illegal criminals have been picked up and removed from the streets of this country, making it safer. So yeah,
Well-
we've got the right message, the right story, and the right candidate to win this thing.
Well, every interview I do, and I get called from all over the world to do interviews on this Georgia Senate race because it's, Georgia's a swing state. And the one thing I say is that people underestimate the impact of the Lakin Riley Act among Georgia primary voters, but also among independent voters. And I bet Democrat voters too, because I don't believe that the rank and file Democrat cares any less for their children than we do. Okay? That's ridiculous. I think the people that are in power right now in the Democratic Party do not represent their base. And I hope their base will understand that. Or I should say the rank and file Democrat. Their base might be just as crazy as their candidates are. But the rank and file Democrats that I know here in Gainesville, they want the same things that I do. They do. You've got to just communicate it.
The people in the state of Georgia want somebody to go to Washington and get something done. That's what they want. And that's what we've been able to provide them with. And that's not bragging. That's just taking that 30 plus years of business, of how many times I've walked in and had to put my business back together, and understanding that we make this thing better off, especially for the next generation, and we help make this country safer. We make that federal government up there more efficient, more productive, and get the regulations under control and keep taxes low. This place will hum like a sewing machine again.
Mike Collins, if people want to help you, how can they do that?
They can go to MikeCollinsGA.com, or you can float Mike Collins GA across every one of the social medias and find us. Martha, I tell you, I'd love to have your help. I'd love to have everybody that's listening. I'd love to have your support and your vote. I'd love to sew this thing up in May. We need all the runway we can get to pound on Ossoff, and we know how to do it. We know how to win this thing, and I sure would love to have you vote.
Well, next time you're in Gainesville, you got to come by the studio again.
We'll be up there soon. Love to.
All right.
Glad to hear you're doing good. You sound great.
Thank you. I feel good. So I'm taking it easy. It was a scary moment, but I feel blessed, and I'm thankful I'm near a level 1 trauma center. And
prayer is powerful.
Prayer is powerful, and they took Terry England was the first patient of that level 1 trauma center. I wasn't the first, but I was glad I was there, and they were able to take care of me. It was great. Yeah. All righty, Mike. Thank you so much. We're going to take a break, and then we'll take you up to the top of the hour.
All the updates on the way home.
Afternoons move faster with the essential updates you need.
Your show is just so informative.
It's The Drive at 5, weekdays on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Some car dealers want to sell you a car. At Hardy Chevrolet, we'd rather help you find the vehicle that's right for you. This is Mike Cormier. We call it the Hardy Chevrolet difference. Since you're the one who will be in the driver's seat of that new Chevy, we think you should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making the selection. It's like Charles Hardy always said.
We love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Has being aimless ever put you at your wit's end? Hi, this is Whit Martin, pastor of Asbury Chapel. There are times in life when we feel aimless, living like we're just wandering through each day and wondering what it is that we should be doing. It's a feeling that means we're searching for purpose, like there's something we know we should put our hands to. The Bible says in Ephesians 2:10, "For we are His workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand, that we should walk in them." Christians find their purpose in the work of God. God has created us to do works that are good in His eyes, and such work rescues us from an aimless and wandering life. We can have confidence about what to do if we put our hands to the work God is doing. If we will search the Scriptures and learn the ways of God, we'll always be able to engage the work of God, driven with purpose and peace about who we are and what we should do. And that is Wit's End. Asbury Chapel invites you to learn more by joining us at 758 Main Street or visit asburychapel.net for more info.
They lied, they cheated, and they broke the law. Liberal losers forced illegal migration on hardworking Americans. But conservative businessman Rick Jackson is ready to fight back.
I don't care if you're Muslim or Mongolian. You don't have the right to force your culture on our country.
Corrupt career politicians let the invasion happen, then made it worse. But conservative businessman Rick Jackson isn't going to let them get away with it.
Too often, criminal illegals commit sick, violent crimes, victimize our children, and get away with murder. So here's my guarantee to them. Do that when I'm governor, and you'll end up deported or departed. Any questions?
It's time to win big for Georgia. Rick Jackson, the Trump-supporting, straight-talking, successful businessman with nothing to lose. Rick Jackson for governor.
Paid for by Jackson for Governor E.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, a new superintendent has been chosen to lead the Gwinnett County Public School System. Details at Access WDUN. And coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN talk and text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
And he took full accountability and responsibility for that.
Did you agree with the president when the president, after all the Afghanistan investigations, judged it to be a raging success, President Biden?
Well, I didn't say that. I think he didn't say that. But he did not say it was a raging success.
He said it was a big success.
Last night in Kabul, the United States ended 20 years of war in Afghanistan, the longest war in American history. The extraordinary success of this mission.
He actually expressed the solemnity of the moment of the withdrawal
and all the failures that went into
it. Is the Martha Zoller Show. I hate when they talk over each other like that. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. You can also text us at that number. So we got a couple text messages we're going to get to, but first we want to get to the phones and talk to Doug in Gainesville. Hey, Doug, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. First
it's
thing
positive.
I want to say,
it's positive, Doug.
yeah. And hey, here's something I've been telling all the people on social media, everybody who's podcasting is please, at some point, close your content with vote Republican for the midterms. I think we have to drive that into people's heads, but that's not what I'm calling about today. What I'm really wondering is, where is the basic human sense of survival that gets people saying that going up against these radical Islamists, these people who for years have killed us, they preach death to America. Where's the sense of survival? I've come to the conclusion the only thing they lack less than the sense of survival is testosterone, and I'll leave you with that.
Thank you. Thanks, Doug. Thanks. I appreciate it very much. Todd in Beaufort said, as an independent who lives conservatively, I voted Trump every time without hesitation because of what he said he was going to do, and especially the way he said it. I'm convinced he's not going to draw a red line and then have the military react with one hand tied behind their back to dominate and put the issue to rest. Other presidents didn't do it this way. If there was an immediate threat to U.S. soil, fine. He needs to tell us what was averted. I'm no fan of how much taxpayer money is given to the wealthy, self-sufficient, proven Israeli government. I'm furious to be paying 40% more for diesel and not 40 cents. I'm furious the debt is exploding and Doge is going full steam, slashing at least half all government spending. Is not doing that. The House of Cards is not well standing for midterms, and the people like me going to feel it even worse than now. I also quit picking candidates, especially career politicians, until after primaries. I think that's fine. One thing I would say is, let me just make sure I get this point here. I don't think Trump's going to let them do it with one hand behind their back. There was an immediate threat. The immediate threat, and they should do a better job talking about this, to U.S. soil, was when the two negotiators from Iran sat down with Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff and said, we've got enough uranium to do 11 bombs, and when we get it, we're going to use them. And we're going to use it on Israel first, and then we're going to use it on America. And so that was the immediate threat. That's what pulled the trigger. Now, history will tell whether we did it right or not. My biggest flaw since the first Gulf War, my biggest complaint since the first Gulf War, is that in the first Gulf War, we had overwhelming force. We had a clear end game. which people didn't like because they wanted us to go on and get Saddam, but that's not what George H.W. Bush said he was going to do. He said he was going to return Kuwait to the Kuwaitis and get the Iraqis out, and that's what he did. And once they got him out, we got out. Okay? And same thing, with World War II, complete and utter, into the war, surrender. But I think that's what Trump wants for Iran, but I agree with you Todd, that there hasn't been a clear enough message, and it's the guys like us that always get hurt when things happen. Hey, I want to take the final couple of minutes, and 5 weeks ago today, I had a heart attack. I know I've talked about it a lot, but I'm going to talk about it a lot because especially for women in their 60s. Now, I had traditional male symptoms. I had the pain in my chest, my arm tingling, sweating like a you-know-what, and having trouble breathing. Okay, those are traditional male symptoms. But a lot of times women don't have traditional male symptoms. I should just say traditional symptoms. They have quieter symptoms. But I think now, and I'll know more when I have all my final testing and go over all that next week on the 18th, I think I was having some not aftershocks, but a couple of things leading up to this. I had these esophageal spasms, or I thought that's what they were. I would even say to Logan, I'm having these things happening from time to time, and I may have to call for a break early if I've got to step away for a minute. Well, I thought it was my esophagus. Well, it could have been my heart because it's all kind of in the same area. But pay attention to your health. And I was doing that. I have no blockage. I have a 0 calcium score. I went to a cardiologist twice a year. I went to a thoracic surgeon every 2 years because I had some heart issues in my family. So I did everything you could do, and I still had a heart attack, but I didn't die from it. Okay? So you should do the things you need to do to stay as healthy as possible. And you need to listen to your body. I know people like me just want to push through. That's my nature. Just want to push through no matter what. Well, thank God I didn't try to push through what happened to me 5 weeks ago, and I asked for help. And the help came quickly, and I had bought breakfast for the EMS guys that showed up there, which probably didn't hurt. Not that they wouldn't help everyone. But I got there, and everybody at Northeast Georgia Health Systems was fantastic. There was a whole crew waiting for me, and they took great care of me. And I've sent thank yous to all of them. I've sent thank you notes to the fire department. I've thanked people. But I just want everybody to know that whether you were somebody that sent me a text message or brought me flowers to the station or sent me a card, if I knew you or didn't know you, I saw everyone. And I appreciate all of you and the kindness that you showed me during this difficult time. And I'm back, man. I'll be back 5 days next week, but I'm going to be listening to my body. It is the Martha Zoller Show. I'll be back on Monday. Tom's in tomorrow. And have a great weekend.